I was introduced to pop riveters when I was working in the Las Vegas McCarran International Airport for a couple months when I first moved down there, putting up suspended ceiling. I had never touched one previous, and I rarely touch one today. In fact, you see these pop rivets on the back of that broken Sawzall box? That's the last time I used this thing, and that was 5 years ago. Why would you ask, would a guy have a tool that will pull a pop rivet through 2 pieces of sheet metal and hold it in position? Why would you have that if you never use it? It's because doggone it, when you need it, you've got to have it. So, this little collection of junk right here, it's not junk. It's tools that are central to some trades and peripheral to all the rest. I almost never use them, but I would never think of not having one on hand. Let me show you what these things are and what I use them for. So a pop riveter is, as far as I know, specialized to sheet metal work. You put in the pop rivet like that, and the act of operating the handle pulls that shaft back and it deforms that aluminum sheath on the outside. You got to hold it in there until finally it goes pop, and the part that just jumped off the table is on the inside of this box. You see that? It swells it up to where it's locked on both sides. Crude but effective. All right, so after pop rivets, we have rivets for leather. I don't know much about this. I've used it 5 or 6 times in my life. I've made a couple of knife sheaths, rough. I've repaired nail bags, rough. Steve Harris uses it beautifully, but you have the rivet, you punch a couple holes in the leather, you have what I think is called the burr, which is that washer, which fits very tight, and you've got this riveting tool that's got a hole and a dish for upsetting, and you put that on there, and you tap, 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 tap. We got it. Yes, we've got it started. Down it goes. So once the burr is driven down as tight as you want it to be over the rivet, like that, or for a bigger rivet, like that, then you get a pair of end nips, another scarcely used but indispensable tool, and you get down there, I don't know, just a little bit above the surface of the burr, and since it's copper, even an old man can cut it off. And then on some sort of an anvil, preferably an anvil, you put that block, that dishing block on there, and you hold down with one hand. And you've riveted 2 pieces of leather together. I don't need it often, and since I'm friends with Steve Harris, I really don't need it often, but sometimes a little tool like that, an oddball end nip like that, which is also handy in construction, and a few copper rivets are a good thing to have around. So I just showed you the box that my old Milwaukee Sawzall came in. It was indispensable. Sawzalls are indispensable for so many things. So many things. But sometimes you either can't get power to where you need it, or your cordless battery is dead, or you're going to go out to trim a Christmas tree and you don't, or to harvest a Christmas tree and you don't want to carry a Sawzall with you. So maybe you would need a pruning saw. You can tell by the rust on this thing how often I need it, but when you need it, there's a lot of things you can cut with a pruning saw besides pruning. Not a bad saw for camping, not a bad saw for do-it-yourself knee replacements. I mean, these are pretty handy. Now, closely related to that, but much more elegant, is a Japanese pull saw. This was sent to me by my friend Luke Wilson, and I used it 5 or 6 times on my bench project. That was a project, I'll tell you. But these things, if you want to see something amazing, look at the Shoyan Carpenter. We did a react video on his amazing work. That guy uses one of these like a scalpel, a cross between a scalpel and a chainsaw. He can do anything with it. I pretty much am limited to cutting off door jambs at the top of flooring to get a nice tight fit, or cutting off dowels in a piece of furniture like the bench. Flush cutting, they're awesome. Japanese pull saws are a magic, magic thing. I don't need it often, but when I need it, boy, do I need it. Now let me just revisit these end nips. These are most useful, I think, for a finished carpenter. These will cut off a nail that tries to bend. They will pull out a nail that tries to bend. You can use them for tying rebar if you need to. Some people prefer these for tying tie wire. There's just a lot of things, but most of them are around getting a hold of something short and pulling it out, or simply cutting off like we did with that leather rivet. These things put a lot of leverage, a very short point. A piece of copper doesn't stand a chance. Continuing down this list of oddball tools that I seldom use and would never give up, a contour gauge. This is an old one, but a contour gauge enables you to, let's do it like this. It enables you to copy almost any shape. There's what it would look like if you were going to cut something to comply with those fingers. Now, are these perfect? No. But man, sometimes matching a piece of molding or, around a pipe or something that needs to fit, a contour gauge is a handy thing. This is one of the tools in this pile that is commonplace as grass for people that use this for tying their rebar, especially in horizontal mats. Now they make wire loops with eyes on them, and you hook the eyes and you wind it up. I should demonstrate that. I probably got B-roll of that. It makes a rod buster out of anybody, but it's not as versatile as an actual set of wire tying pliers and a wire reel. But sometimes this thing is just the ticket. So you won't need this often, but if you ever see one of these at an estate sale or a garage sale, go ahead and get it, and then try to remember where you put it. It hurts me to include this in the list. This is a rigging axe. This was given to me by a friend on the channel, and it was such a wonderful gesture because Plum does not make 28-inch, Plum's not in business, or at least if they are, they don't make rigging axes anymore. And these things were fundamental to me. I had one of these for 20 years, and I finally put so many handles in it and drove so many wedges in there to tighten it up that the cheeks of the head started blowing up and cracking, and I welded them, and finally it was gone. And my friend was watching me when I was building the spec house, use it brand new for about 5 minutes, and the handle was just a little big, and so I went over to my belt sander and sanded it down. Nothing drives nails like a rigging axe, but I don't use it much anymore. I've got a stiletto, and I've got nail guns, and I'm 68, or I will be tomorrow, and so this is relegated to most favored hammer trading status because I just love it, even if I don't get it out very often. This is a tool out of Kelly's toolbox. Kelly does the painting around here. It's best if I never touch a paintbrush. But one of the most frustrating parts of being a painter is cleaning up after you're done, especially if it's an expensive brush. But look at this. You put that down in the bucket, and it's clean. We didn't know that existed until about 3 years ago. Ron Sharp showed me one of these, and he said, "Scott, you got to have one of these if you're ever going to use a paintbrush." And it was a Mother's Day present that still gets me extra credit points. So this Digout bar, you've seen me demonstrate this before. There are times when a nail goes haywire or bends over or just isn't quite right, and you don't want to take your cat's paw and dig a hole the size of a 50-cent piece. You can get in there oh so delicately and bam! Get in, get a hold of the head of the nail, and pull it right out. This is an antique tool with limitless applications when you need it, and no applications at all until you need it. But there's one lesson that I want to warn you about that occasionally happens the first time you ever use this, and that is you get a hold of that, but you let part of the web of your thumb get above that little shoulder, and the very first time that slide hammer comes down there and captures the web of that thumb, you will blow the edge of it out, and you don't even have a blood blister because it just ruptures the whole thing, and it takes about 10 days to heal up. So don't do that. And the other thing is, don't get rid of your Digout bar. Now this last one, maybe I have this because I'm one of the last of the boomers, right? I am right at the tail end of the baby boom generation. And most of the rest of you younger people probably just look at this as something from antiquity. And it is from antiquity. I mean, brace and bit has been around for a long time. And in an era of electric drill motors and cordless electric drill motors and impact drivers, yep, don't need it. Except on the channel Tips from a Shipwright, Lou, the old boy who builds the cool boats, I wonder if Lou's still doing it, I don't know, but he uses a brace and bit to drive big brass screws into the hull of the boats that he's making. Because you can put all the torque in the world, keep all the pressure in the world, and not strip out a big brass screw. Now, since the chuck on a brace and bit is that funny tapered square, I couldn't find a screw bit to go in there so I could show you guys this. So I had to forge that. You can see the tempering colors. I took it down to kind of a bronze temper, spring temper there. We talk about that on our blacksmithing videos. But the idea is, you may not ever need to drill a hole, but if you need to put in a brass screw that you just can't afford to strip out, put a straight slot screw tip in a brace and bit and you can run it in and never feel bad about it. So anyhow, that's a collection of tools that are obscure for some of us, common for some of us, used every day for some of us, never touched or thought of for some of us. But you know what? It never hurts to have the tool around that you need, even if you don't need it very often. And one more thing. Since the comments are the most worthwhile part of this whole operation, would you let us know what the funky, seldom used tools are that you have that would just, flatten all four of your tires to walk into your shop someday and find out it's not there? Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.